Watch this play as one man after another goes up to set a screen for CP, who finally settles for a Sarge screen, gets the switch on Ryan and launches a 3 that misses, but Sarge gets in great position over Nance, grabs the offensive rebound and gets the layup to give the Warriors a 20-point lead. Turns out, the Warriors can actually thrive defensively when they run 2 bigs on the floor at the same time, which is something Steve Kerr seems completely allergic to for no good reason. On the final defensive possession of the quarter, Daniels drives to his left, sees Trayce and decides to cross to his right and dishes out to Ryan, who drives to the middle but gets stripped from behind by CP. Trayce retrieves the loose ball, and that, ladies and gentlemen, was a f***ing masterclass on what the Warriors' true potential is defensively with an actual anchor protecting their paint area at all times. It is more than bizarre that the coaching staff chooses not to get Trayce into the rotation, because without him getting any consistent minutes, their defense has been broken for a majority of the season, and their defensive rating is all the way down to 17th in the league, which is worse than mediocre and completely unserious. Anyway, if you thought that late third quarter burst was impressive, wait until you see how the fourth quarter plays out. Trayce comes up for yet another high ball screen to start the fourth. He rolls to the rim and draws the foul on the layup attempt and converts on both of his free throws to give the Warriors a 22-point lead. Watch here as Jonas tries to attack Trayce, but Sarge does a nice job of helping, forcing Jonas to kick to the wing. He wants the ball back for another opportunity, but the wingman launches with a good contest from Wiggins and the shot hits nothing but glass. Boy, I really like Dario's defense as a 4 next to Trayce, and we have yet another one and done possession. Warriors fans, I hope you are weeping with joy, because this is a defensive clinic on the road right now. Not once did they allow the other team to gain any momentum on any goofy defensive possessions, with Sarge at anchor, Kuminga failing to rebound at power forward, and all kinds of disaster like we've seen throughout this season. To be fair to the both of them, I think Sarge and Kuminga would look just fine if they played the 4 and the 3 next to Trayce, but that simply isn't what Kerr has been doing for this team. It's criminal, really, and I have had the absolute displeasure of watching their defense fail over and over again, going with incapable defensive lineups no matter how many times they fail. Somebody, please get this guy, because he's the only coach I know who actively goes away from what works. Whether it's the pick and roll, which the Warriors ran all day in this game by the way, or the defensive leaning lineups that create separation from other teams the way they did here. Seriously, can you remember the last time the Pelicans got a good look in the paint area in this game? What's also interesting is the fact that in this game, the Warriors went away from all the things they are normally forced to run. Was there a single split action during any of the clips in this video? No. Was there any motion run with the second unit? Absolutely not. Maybe this is the reason why Kerr doesn't play Trayce, because Trayce rolls after every screen, which naturally gets the players to play pick and roll. Even though the Warriors defense killed, and even though they were highly effective in scoring themselves using a high ball screens and all kinds of pick and roll, that's just not what Kerr wants to do. I think this is the only plausible reason why Kerr is keeping Trayce out of his rotations, because he destroys that deer motion offense that Kerr loves so much. It's all starting to make sense to me, but let me know your thoughts on this. And as you do that, I would like to show you this little comment by Steve, where he essentially says he would resign before transforming his offense to one that runs more pick and rolls. This is pretty damning stuff, because what this tells me is that he would rather sabotage the team's chances of winning if he has to run a bunch of pick and rolls to do so. The Warriors have actively gone away from pick and rolls as the season has progressed, and not coincidentally, Trayce has mostly not been involved. Anyway, Ryan comes off the curl, dishes to Lewis Jr., who drives and kicks out to Jones, who takes and misses the corner 3 for another one and done. On the next possession, Pelicans quickly attack on the break. Lewis Jr. attacks Potts and gets the rare and 1, ending the streak of dominance for the Warriors on the defensive end. And Trayce finally takes a seat after holding the Pelicans to, get this, 4 points in the span of 6 minutes prior to the and 1 by Lewis Jr. Here's what the Warriors accomplished defensively in the 6 minutes and change that Trayce was on the floor from quarter 3 to quarter 4. In 15 possessions, Pelicans scored 4 points on 1 of 9 field goal shooting. 2 free throws came from 4 separate fouls, committed 2 turnovers, and were out-rebounded 3-15. Yes, Warriors out-rebounded 15-3. Every single possession was one and done. What's crazy about this is that he did the exact same thing against the Kings in his second game of the season, holding that team to 4 points in a 5-minute span in the third quarter, in which the Warriors also built a 10-point lead with him on the floor, and that was with Kuminga playing power forward next to Trayce. I did a separate breakdown video on that performance, so be sure to click here if you haven't seen it. So to summarize, Trayce anchored their defense in limited minutes for 2 straight games, and his reward was being completely benched for the next 2 games, where the Warriors ended up winning 2 wildly close games with 2 separate buzzer beaters. Way to reward your young players for doing an amazing job, Steve. Not only that, the team went as far as to send both Trayce and Pods to the G League, despite clearly showing they are rotational players, so that, get this, Steve Kerr's son, Nick Kerr, that's his name, Nick Kerr, could win his debut G League coaching gig. They were sent to the G League not once, but twice. Not that the G League is a bad thing, but you don't send rotational pieces for a contending team because you're risking injury to valuable, ready-now players in meaningless games in the grand scheme of things. But that's exactly what ended up happening, as Pods came out of his second G League stint looking like this, and Trayce was unavailable for a game after his second G League stint due to a sore leg. This is straight up malpractice. So Mr. TJD once again provides the starters with an amazing cushion. The Pelicans have no momentum and is looking an awful lot like how the Warriors looked 2 years ago when they went 18-2 to start that season with a similarly powerful defensive unit off their bench, which also had very little to do with involving Kuminga. Sorry to call it out so blatantly, but their defense simply thrives when he's not on the floor. At the very least, not playing the power forward position next to Saric, which has been an utter negative for the Warriors all year long. With a comfortable lead and all the momentum on the Warriors side, Steph Curry comes back into the picture, comes off the curl, sees daylight from 28 feet out, launches, and splashes. Warriors basketball is fully back, at least for this one game. Draymond had done a great job on Zion for much of this game, and he's back on the floor to once again defend the juggernaut. Zion spins to his left, but runs into help from Loon, so he dishes out to Jonas in the corner, who kicks to Lewis Jr., who kicks it back to Jonas for the corner 3 that misses. CP grabs the rebound but loses it, allowing Zion to get at it, misses the putback, then puts it back with no resistance. Funny, I don't recall Trayce on the bench unit allowing this kind of nonsense, but it's okay, because the bench unit's defense gave the starters a ton of margin for error. Watch here as Curry uses the high ball screen from Draymond, then uses CP screen to get a switch on Mr. Doughboy, who tries to stay in front of Curry, but Curry pulls back in the corner with little space, launches, and it's another splash. Sheesh. Desperate to make some kind of comeback, Jonas launches a 3 from the top of the arc and misses, but Zion jumps right over Draymond for another offensive rebound and draws the foul on the putback attempt. Pels are in transition, CJ gets the ball to a cutting Zion, who draws both Draymond and Loon, and perhaps accidentally gets the ball to a wide open Jonas for what looks to be the Pelicans' easiest basket of the night. Curry uses horns for a DHO, but Draymond fakes the DHO, drives and dishes to GP2 in the corner, who finally nails the open 3. The Warriors choose to finish the game with a defensive lineup of Curry, GP2, Moody, Draymond, and Looney, which is a hell of a lot better than any CP-Curry combination. Here, Curry dishes to Moody while using GP2's screen to relocate. Moody promptly gets him the ball, but the 3 misses. Moody doesn't give up on the play, sneaks in for an offensive rebound, then gets an and 1 putback against Mr. Doughboy. Moody is such a steady player, and again, I will be doing a separate breakdown for him and why he deserves more minutes as well. Draymond elects to switch the pick and roll against CJ, who passes to Zion, and what should have been a steal for GP2 gets recovered by the quick hands of Zion, who then attacks Looney and draws another foul. With the shot clock running out, Curry uses a behind the back dribble to create separation, drives to the rim and lays it high off the glass against the outstretched arm of Daniels. Patented. In what would prove to be the final possession for the Warriors starters, Curry uses GP2 screen, pulls up from damn near the logo, and splashes yet another 3 to give the Warriors a 28-point cushion and does whatever this celebration is. Gotta love it if you're a Warriors fan. Talk about an ideal game on the road with Curry being aggressive and going off, nobody being upset about lack of touches, a selfless bench unit that came in and completely locked up the Pelicans, and it's a complete and utter blowout in which Curry and the starters don't even have to play the final 5 minutes of the game. This is how the Warriors could look every night, but Steve Kerr just doesn't seem to like nice things, as he hates the pick and roll and refuses to use it with any regularity, not to mention the non-defensive leaning lineups that are always squandering leads and giving up momentum on the regular. Despite seeing how glorious things were when lineups were traditional, the defense was connected through Trayce with the bench unit, and the game just looked so easy. I pray for a day when the Warriors play with these kinds of rotations and this kind of scheme on a nightly basis, but that just won't happen as long as Kerr is around. Anyway, Trayce came back into the game to finish the game off, and this is a TJD video, so I will bless you with more of his highlights, which come possession by possession because this guy shows up every time. Here, Kojo gets completely burned by Lewis Jr., Trayce can't contest in time, and it's a layup. Watch here as Trayce stays on top of the handler, recovers to Zeller, who dishes to whoever this guy is that dares challenge Trayce at the rim and gets swatted out of there, and Trayce grabs the rebound to shut it down. DHO for Lester, who throws a lob to Trayce that is once again too high and it's a miss. He's not Superman, sheesh. Watch here as Mr. Cody Zeller attempts to go at Trayce with the shot clock winding down and promptly gets it swatted. Get that out of here. Cody wants his get back and tries again, and this time he manages to draw a foul. Bottom line, nothing easy. Here Trayce gets deep into the paint and misses the bunny but draws the foul. Still, I like to see him finish some of these for easy and one opportunities. You can see him asking for a lob here so that he can better finish on the play. Doesn't matter much at this point, but this is yet another screen that makes no contact, giving Potts no real advantage, and then he ends up turning it over. Of course, there are times when slipping and aggressively rolling works as well, but you really should make good contact on most screens as a big man. No ifs and buts about it. Here, Jerome Robinson does not see a wide open Trayce to his right and takes a whack shot attempt, but Trayce gets the offensive rebound for the putback that misses, but is once again there to put it right back in. There's 1 minute left and the Warriors have a 26-point lead, but that won't stop Trayce from doing his job, as he intimidates Lewis Jr., who dishes to Zeller, who quickly gets rid of it to Ryan, who drives, probes, then dishes back out to Zeller, who attacks the rim one more time and promptly gets sent away by Trayce once again. What a monster. All in all, Trayce got to play 20 minutes, by far the most he's played this season, and ended his night with 13 points on 5 of 9 field goal, 3 of 4 from the line, 9 rebounds including 7 offensive, 4 blocks, and plus 11 for the game. If given the proper minutes, many more nights like this are waiting on deck for this bright young man who is tailor-made to fit the Warriors system perfectly while having certain anchoring capabilities that not even Draymond possesses. The Warriors are desperate for a trade in order to get a closing stretch 4 who can even out the size of this team, particularly for the playoffs, but they don't seem to realize that the piece they need immediately is sitting right in front of them, and it's just been sad to watch. Trayce Jackson-Davis has been a positive in almost every single game he has played, and it is truly time for Kerr and the coaching staff to abandon their small lineups and to include this anchoring piece into their rotation permanently. Or don't, and continue to fumble away winnable games by choosing to go to weak defensive lineups that can't stop anybody. If you found value in this video, be sure to leave me your thoughts, like the video, and subscribe, as your continued support will drive me to provide you with some of the best content in the world. Thank you for watching. Until next time.